Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. The world has changed many times and has changed greatly from the time it first formed. How life began is still a great scientific mystery. But I have a good guess. We think it started about 3,800,000,000 years ago. Before we get into this, let's start from the beginning and take a trip back in time. Earth once did not exist and was not always hospitable to life after it was formed. About 4,600,000,000 years ago, our solar system was a cloud of dust and gas known only as cloudless to the Sun. About 4,500,000,000 years ago, the solar system settled into its current order. With the heavy elements colliding and bonding together, the rocky core of the Earth was formed first. Dense materials first sank into the center of the planet. Lighter materials formed its crust. It is known as the Paleoarchean period. While hurricanes were blowing on the planet, the evolution process began. During this time, the fledgling world was a hell of a place. The flow of the mantle beneath the crust caused large plates of rock to move on the planet's surface. The collisions of these plates created huge mountains and volcanoes that constantly erupted, spewing massive amounts of lava and gas. Reefs formed in the oceans. The atmosphere of the Earth, which is yet a protoplanet, almost did not exist. But as the planet cooled, gravity pulled these gases from the volcanoes. Earth was flooded with the impact of many comets and asteroids. Another important thing for the emergence of life on our planet is its distance from its star, that is, from the Sun. Earth is located in the Goldilocks zone, the distance from the Sun that would allow liquid water to exist on its surface. Before life began on Earth, radiation from our star was the primary source of energy on our planet. Just like today. At that time, there was very little oxygen in the world. It has been theorized that solar energy provided the leap, transforming simple organic molecules into more complex molecules, turning them into the building blocks of biology and life. Life probably evolved in submarine alkaline holes. The organic chemical deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA, which probably contains genetic information and instructions for protein synthesis, is based on ribonucleic acid, RNA, found in all living cells. At one point, a common splint gave rise to two main groups of bacteria and archaea. Exactly how this happens is still unclear. Tiny microbes and single-celled organisms evolved over billions of years and began feeding on methane about 3,600,000,000 years ago. Evidence of viruses dating back 3 billion years has been found, but some scientists argue that viruses may be as old as life itself. The planet took an important step towards habitability when a group of microbes known as cyanobacteria gained the ability to convert light and water into energy and release oxygen in the process. Dissolved oxygen caused the iron in the oceans to rust and sink to the seafloor, resulting in formations of red iron. However, an incredibly remarkable catastrophe occurred in this early life cycle 2.4 to 2.1 billion years ago. The toxic waste produced by these evolved photosynthetic cyanobacteria caused oxygen to accumulate in the atmosphere and killed the anaerobic bacteria. It led to the first mass extinction, called the Great Oxidation Event. You may be asking, how can oxygen be toxic? Oxygen became toxic due to the accumulation and was too much for the born antioxidative defense system of any microbe or bacteria living at that time. These algae-shaped cyanobacteria self-renewed and caused a global extinction. It would have been worse. This paramecium started the Neoprotozoic era, in which protozoa such as amoebae and melanocrylium evolved. The first animal cells differentiated from plants, and these cells began to feed on plants, becoming the world's first herbivores. During this period, the Earth froze at least 2 more times, pausing evolutionary development. Yet life went on. Fungus worms and other small bilaterally symmetrical animals survived and thrived during this time. As we jumped a little in time and reached the Paleozoic era, complex life forms began to evolve, including fish, arthropods, mollusks, and echinoderms. Plants began to grow on the Earth, and air-breathing animals began to walk, crawl, and glide on land. Meanwhile, sharks, horseshoe crabs, and starfish began to fill the oceans. At the beginning of the period, insects began to appear and ferns became a common land plant. Cephalaspis crabs, large sharks, and mousefish evolved. This led to the Carboniferous period when the climate on Earth was thought to be tropical. There was little variation between seasons. This period gave rise to a new wave of strange creatures. The growth of these forests increased oxygen levels in the atmosphere, which was about 35% compared to 21% today. This level alone could explain the enormity of the giant creepy reptiles that appeared. Some aquatic animals and insects may have grown to even larger sizes at that time as a way of protecting themselves against high oxygen levels. One of them was giant insects called NEUROSIS, very similar to modern-day dragonflies. They had a wingspan of 63 to 68 centimeters and could be seen flying in the sky during this period. An incredibly detailed fossil of a huge dragonfly that died 320 million years ago has been discovered to have a wingspan of 0.75 meters. 2-meter-long poisonous centipedes, 1-meter-long giant cockroaches and scorpions crawled across the earth. Frogs began to diversify, and reptiles evolved into forms very similar to modern-day rhododendron lizards. In this way, they became able to live and move on land. This was huge in amphibians, and some species were predatory, like modern-day crocodiles. They were armed with sharp teeth and reached almost 6 meters in length. Some, like modern-day crocodiles, have evolved to have thicker scaly skin. This solved the problem of their bodies drying out when they were out of the water for too long. Later, amphibians evolved to lay amniotic or air-breathing eggs on land, and that changed everything. Because these animals could now live outside of water, it gave birth to the Permian period, which began just 50 million years before the dinosaurs. During this period, all continents continued to exist as a large landmass called Pangaea. Some of these creatures are mistaken for dinosaurs. But they were more closely related to mammals and reptiles. One of these strange creatures is the Diplosauropsis. The head of this seaman-like creature was in the shape of a boomerang, with an average length of 1 meter. Another new reptile on the planet was the iconic Dimetrodon, which reached nearly 5 meters in length and had a large sail on its back. She probably used the sail to regulate her body temperature. During the Permian, the dominance of mammals was increasing. The largest of these was Gargantia, a class of bear-like animals with distinct teeth that all do different jobs. These animals could have been herbivores or carnivores and could weigh more than 1 ton. A group of these creatures were known as cynodonts. Its processes mean its canine-like teeth. These animals had social behavior. There is some fossil evidence that they hunted in packs. Fish with bony skeletons evolved in the oceans. It evolved in sharks and stingrays, as well as sponges and corals. On land, insects have developed mouthparts that allow them to pierce and suck on things. About 252 million years ago, the Permian period ended abruptly with a catastrophic event that caused the mass extinction. In 2001, scientists made a chilling discovery. A gigantic comet or asteroid similar to the one that wiped out the dinosaurs destroyed their giant reptilian predecessor. So how did scientists come to this conclusion? High proportions of helium and argon gas molecules that could only have come from outer space were found to be locked in carbon. The diameter of the asteroid or comet is estimated to be between 6 to 12 kilometers. Researchers say the collision may have released 1 million times more energy than the biggest earthquake of the century. There is also some evidence of incredibly large-scale volcanic eruptions in areas of present-day Siberia and China. These eruptions created clouds of dust and ash that blocked sunlight. Not only that, over 1 million years, a total of 3 million cubic kilometers of lava erupted, covering the entire planet with a 10-meter thick layer of lava. The asteroid collision combined with volcanic activity has once again turned the world into a terrible place. 90% of all marine animals and 70% of all land animals died. Life on Earth had seemingly vanished completely. But after that, a new era would begin.